Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning with a major court case that could affect this year's election. The Nebraska Supreme Court hearing arguments in a case for the restoration of felon voting rights on Wednesday. Last month, Nebraska's Secretary of State halted voting registration for those with past felonies who have not been pardoned. That directive stems from an opinion by Attorney General Mike Hilgers, who said both laws, LB 53 and LB 20, are unconstitutional. Now, LB 53 was passed in 2005. It allows felons to vote 2 years after completing their sentences. This year, state lawmakers removed that waiting period with the passing of LB 20. No official ruling was handed down Wednesday. Both sides made their case in a 30-minute hearing. The lawsuit was filed last month. It disputes Secretary of State Bob Evans' order to halt voter registration for felons. An official decision by the court is expected in the coming weeks. 4 attempts were made this week to remove an abortion rights initiative from the Nebraska general election ballot, alleging the measure violates the state constitution's single subject rule. A lawsuit filed to the Nebraska Supreme Court and 3 separate complaints sent to the Secretary of State's office each challenged the ballot initiative that seeks to establish the right to abortion up until fetal viability, generally considered to be between 23 and 24 weeks of pregnancy. Now, last week, Secretary of State Bob Evans confirmed that the Protect Our Rights initiative met the minimum signature requirement to qualify for the November ballot. There's a competing initiative, Protect Women and Children, that seeks to ban abortions during the 2nd and 3rd trimesters of pregnancy, except for medical emergencies and in cases of rape or incest. It also has enough valid signatures for ballot access and is not the subject of any of these challenges. Evans has the ability to remove the Protect Our Rights initiative from the ballot administratively, has to decide on that before the deadline to finalize Nebraska's ballot on September 13th. But doing so would bring the risk of facing a new legal challenge from abortion rights supporters. A Minnesota company developing a wind farm in northeast Nebraska suing Knox County in federal court after it says the county board changed its zoning requirements to make the project economically unfeasible. North Fork Wind's been planning a wind farm in Knox County for 7 years. They're joined by 12 landowners who signed agreements to build turbines on their property in the lawsuit. It names the Knox County Board of Supervisors, the county planning and zoning administrator, as well as individuals affiliated with a group called Wind Watchers, which pushed the county to adopt longer setback rules and require North Fork Wind to obtain a security bond. The wind farm had been moving forward under a comprehensive plan adopted by Knox County officials in 2020, where they affirmed support for the project, as well as in line with regulations adopted by the county board just last year. A central Nebraska village clerk has resigned as a new report from the state auditor alleges misappropriation of public funds. The 21-page report on Litchfield and former clerk Julie Miller was released Wednesday. The report alleges that the former clerk of the town, about 30 miles north of Kearney, paid herself questionable overtime payments totaling over $18,000. The report also called into question purchases made on the village's credit card at McDonald's and purchases of clothing from the local Walmart. In the village board's response to the auditor's report, they noted Miller resigned last week. They say they're also taking steps to better track employee hours and purchases. Well, there could be something potentially fatal behind your refrigerator door. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issuing another warning about that deadly deli meat Listeria outbreak over the past few months. John Lawrence has the latest.
Gunter Morgenstein of Newport News, Virginia, was rushed to the hospital on July 8th.
He was having trouble breathing. They started doing more testing because they couldn't figure out exactly what it was that was wrong with him. That's what it came back as, Listeria.
The 88-year-old died 10 days after his hospitalization.
The number one thing on the recall was liverwurst. My mom knew that he loved to eat that and knew that he had eaten that, recently.
Morgenstein's family believes his death is connected to meat later recalled by Boar's Head. At least 9 people have died from contaminated deli meat, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says there's also been 57 confirmed Listeria-linked illnesses in 18 states. People who eat Listeria-tainted food can get listeriosis, which can be especially dangerous for pregnant women and the elderly. Among the symptoms, fever, headache, and nausea. As for this outbreak, Boar's Head says it is, quote, conducting a rigorous investigation to identify the root cause of this incident. In late July, it recalled more than 7 million pounds of its ready-to-eat liverwurst and some other deli meats.
We don't have it now because of what happened, but, as things settles down and Boar's Head clears it up, yeah, we will use it again.
The CDC says this is the U.S.'s largest Listeria outbreak since the one linked to cantaloupe in 2011. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Account one Southeast Nebraska school superintendent among those relieved that bills proposed in the past special legislative session did not pass as initially designed. Nebraska City Superintendent Mark Fritsch said the bills as initially proposed would have meant a revenue shortfall of $4 million for his district. The growth of Nebraska City's total tax asking the past 6 years has averaged 1.78%. That's below the state average. Fritsch said Nebraska City public schools have not exceeded the existing growth caps and will not exceed the allowable property tax growth for the upcoming school year. He expressed gratitude specifically to his district's State Senator Julie Slama for advocating for changes to the bills. Fritsch says the school's looking to counter the narrative that school spending is the root cause of increased property taxes across the state. Electrical linemen for several agencies in the Panhandle this week training on safely maintaining the electrical grid. A lineman safety course designed with training stations for each level of experience took place this week. None of the lines transmitted electricity, but the students trained to react as if they were hot. Organizers say the program's designed to address several skills and skill levels, and class leaders say above all else, the linemen are trained in safety procedures.
Highest focus of the week is basically learning how to do these jobs the safest that we can do them.
The course included classroom and field study. The field work conducted at a location north of Sydney. The 3-day class concludes on Thursday. The Nebraska National Guard continuing to strengthen relationships with communities in the Cornhusker State. On Thursday, a number of community partnership events are scheduled in Beatrice. One took place Thursday morning where community leaders and servicemen and women gathered at the Veterans Park in South Beatrice for a wreath laying. Beatrice native and Sergeant Jared Ideas says today's event had a special meaning.
So what we're doing is we're just trying to tighten our strengths and of our community. I mean, we can't serve our great country without this great communities, our surrounding communities, especially in the state of Nebraska.
Mayor Bob Morgan spoke at the ceremony, noting the sacrifices made by those in service.
I have understood the sacrifices of going out, like going to Kuwait, going to Afghanistan, and leaving your loved ones behind. I think that is one of the ultimate sacrifices that sometimes gets overlooked. But for all the military members here today, I want to give you my heartfelt thank you and gratitude for everything that you do to protect our country.
Community Partnership Day is co-organized by the National Guard and the city of Beatrice. The day also features an open house for veterans at the Beatrice American Legion and a Q&A with the community Thursday evening. And staying in Beatrice, their volleyball team looking to improve and beginning this year with new leadership at the helm. Jake Bartecki has more.
A new era for Beatrice volleyball begins on Thursday night when the Cassie Eichhoff era officially gets underway. Cassie Eichhoff, a Beatrice native, returning home, saying it was important for her to do so to improve the volleyball program.
I would say the most important thing for me is that this is my hometown, and I have a lot of pride in coming back here and trying to just continually develop these girls.
Eichhoff was officially named head coach in January, having coached many years in various club leagues across Nebraska. As she returns to BHS, she says she's tried to make the transition as smooth as possible. Captains like junior Sophie Gleason and senior Brooklyn Schaefer explain why they think the transition's gone well.
I think that we've been focusing a lot and we've just been working hard because new coaching staff, we have a lot of new freshmen. Our team is really young, so we've kind of just been trying to get everybody in like the mood to play.
I think it's the positive reinforcement that she's given us. She's always said good things to us, and she's given us that reassurance that we're going to be fine and it's all going to work out, and it's not been negative at all. It's just been a good time.
One of Beatrice's 4-year leaders will begin the year recovering from a knee injury. Senior Annie Gleason has spent the last 6 months working her way back into full volleyball form after suffering a stress fracture in her knee, something she says has given her a new perspective on the game she loves.
All my life it's just been sports. I've never really had a time off, and I had 6 months of just doing nothing, and it's been really great. I've gotten to see volleyball from an outside perspective instead of being on the court and learning how to use my leadership skills off the court rather than on the court. So I think that's built me into a great player in person, and then just seeing how I can improve and mentor others.
And as Beatrice embarks on a new journey under Coach Eichhoff, she has a message to fans ahead of the upcoming season.
What I asked the parents for was just support, because again, a lot of these girls are new to these positions. We graduated last year, a class that had a lot of really good players in it. We have a lot of really good players that are getting ready to come through this program, but they deserve time to develop and grow. And I was telling my mom last night on the phone, I said sometimes I just am beaming with pride about how far they've come, but I know we still have quite a ways to go to get where we want to be.
In Beatrice, Jake Bartecki, NCN Sports Now.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com, click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.